Hi everyone, in this video we are going to discuss the difference between a nuclear explosion and a chemical meltdown. So a nuclear explosion is usually when you have uncontrolled chain reactions inside of a nuclear reactor that results in a massive explosion on the magnitude of an atomic bomb. It's very, 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 very bad. A chemical meltdown is usually when you have some kind of chemical reaction or an exothermic reaction that causes a fire, usually having something to do with hydrogen gas or too much hydrogen gas being created or generated. But then what happens is you have this chemical reaction or chemical explosion inside of a reactor that causes for a meltdown to occur, but it's not a nuclear explosion. We are not obliterating everything around us and killing thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So in this video, what we're going to do is just discuss the example of Fukushima. So now, Fukushima was the accident that happened in Fukushima occurred in 2011, and it happened in Japan. And so what happened was extraordinarily unfortunate because this was not an operator error. The people that worked there actually did a beautiful job responding to what happened, but still it was just a disaster. So basically what happened is Fukushima, or this plant, is located right on the coast of Japan. And so it was right next to this huge earthquake that happened. And so your book says it has a magnitude of 9.0. I found online that it was a magnitude of 8.8. So depending on which resource you're talking about, regardless, it was a huge earthquake that caused a massive tsunami. So initially, the earthquake happened, knocking out the power, but at these reactors, 1 through 4, because 5 and 6 were dormant, but so 1 through 4, their backup generators kicked on. So they had these electrical generators totally fine. They were completely fine. But then, this huge tsunami came through. The waves went over the protective wall that protected reactors 1 through 4, went over there and flooded reactors 1 through 4, knocking out these generators. Now, that means that these reactors are without power. If they don't have power, they are unable to pump the coolant through the system, right? So remember, in our nuclear reactor or our power plant, we have 3 different systems here where we're constantly pumping some kind of primary coolant, secondary coolant, or just the pool of water through here to try to make sure that we can control the temperature. Well, when the waves knocked out the generators, that whole plan just ruined, basically. And so they were no longer able to keep the system cool, and they were rapidly producing hydrogen gas. So just like in 3 Mile Island, they did everything they could to vent, and so they opened up the vent, they were shooting hydrogen gas out, but unfortunately there was too much hydrogen gas and too hot of a temperature, around too much oxygen. Again, our environment is 21% oxygen, so there was a massive explosion. But it was not because of some kind of nuclear explosion. It was because there was an earthquake that caused a tsunami that caused the generators to go out, which ruined the cooling system, okay? So this was a huge problem, and it was so incredibly sad because the people that worked there did not do anything wrong. They really didn't. They responded just absolutely beautifully. So here's the question, because remember the point of this video: true or false? Okay, a nuclear explosion occurred at Fukushima. True or false? Go. Did you get an answer? Hopefully you did, because I just told you it. The answer is definitely false, okay? It was not a nuclear explosion at all. It was definitely a meltdown, okay? We had a fire. Hydrogen gas was rapidly produced. When it's too hot and it's around a lot of oxygen, you have these huge fires. And I have one little picture for you to kind of visually see this. So you have your reactors, you have the water that came in here, and then this is what happens when you have a chemical reaction or a chemical fire. Definitely chemical. So to review, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima were all chemical meltdowns, not nuclear explosions. We have to make sure everyone is clear about this. And if you ever hear anybody talk about this and say, oh, that nuclear explosion, you stop them right there and say, no, that was not a nuclear explosion. That was a chemical meltdown, all right? Now, go do that. Change the world. Good luck, guys.